If you've ever felt unsure about approaching other healthcare practitioners, providers, or worried about stepping on toes while building professional relationships, this episode is for you. Here in this episode, I'm going to give you clear, actionable strategies to better grow your collaborative medical networks, which in turn is going to help your own practice as well, and not to mention your reputation. So welcome to the TCM Teach podcast, the business podcast designed exclusively for acupuncturists and Chinese medicine herbalists who want to grow thriving collaborative practices while building strong professional relationships. So who am I? I'm Matthew Sabi Smith, a licensed acupuncturist, herbalist, professor, coach, entrepreneur, you name it. I feel like I do it at this point, but I am very passionate about helping people grow their practices because I know the power of Chinese medicine, as I'm sure you do as well. So today we're going to talk about networking with other practitioners and doctors and how to create meaningful connections, ones that will foster referrals, and how we can collaborate ethically and effectively. This is something I have done personally that really helped my own practice, my own reputation in places where I have worked with patients. And I am sure that it would do the same for you. And perhaps maybe you're listening and you have done this as well, where hopefully you have. I notice teaching students, I have to talk about this a lot. In schools, I have run into students who don't want to work with anybody, but in reality, that's not very helpful because we want to be collaborative. So that way we can work together because we're all on the same team, people. I know that can be hard to think about sometimes when medicine can be so different, but if you're an herbalist, an acupuncturist, even if you're not in Chinese medicine, if you're some type of holistic practitioner, the goal is to make people feel good and feel healthy, even in an integrative setting. So keep that in mind. So I have a quick little disclaimer like every episode. Just please remember, I'm simply a practitioner here to support you on your journey. The information shared in this podcast is intended for educational and learning purposes only. So for guidance specific to your business, please consult with the appropriate licensed professional or just hop over to my coaching because that's an option too. All right, so why networking matters for your clinic. I think you all probably know this by now, but there might be some points that I bring up for you that maybe you didn't consider or you forgot about. Sometimes reminders really help. You want to build trust and credibility with other practitioners. Why? We're all on the same team. I feel like most of the time when I talk to people, I'm teaching them what I can do with acupuncture. I could teach them what I could do with herbs. I could teach them what I can do with Chinese medicine nutrition even, right? So even if you're like a dietitian or if you're a nutritionist, ways you can help integrate into the system, but maybe in a different way. You want to open opportunities for patient referrals. I've done this successfully with other practitioners and teams when I've worked in other states. And you can create a support system of peers for collaboration and learning. That's also really fun. Something else I have done, working alongside, well, actually not working alongside, just teaming up with practitioners and having quarterly meetings in my area and sharing knowledge with each other. Instead of thinking about competition, we would actually share knowledge with each other, which was really great because it gave a sense of community and we're all on the same team. Networking is something that is a strategic long-term investment, and ultimately it helps you, it helps your clinic, it helps your own reputation as a practitioner and your patients thank you for it. Please don't get in the scarcity mindset of thinking that by working with other practitioners or referring out that you're not going to get anything back in return. You're here to help the patients, and don't worry, it's still going to help your business too. So identifying the right practitioners to connect with. How do you do that? Think about people in your area, right? Within 10, 20-mile radius, for example. Local physicians, chiropractors, physical therapists, naturopaths, wellness professionals, you name it. If you have a certain niche that you work with, find the people there first. If you need places to refer out, find people you can refer to, right? So sometimes I personally like if I have a chiropractor to work with if someone is dealing with back pain, but there's a structural issue that I would prefer an adjustment, so I can have them get adjusted alongside working with acupuncture and herbs, or maybe there needs to be some corrective exercises if it's beyond something that I understand as a strength and conditioning coach. Then I would like to refer to a physical therapist. If there is something that involves medications, then I have to think about like a PA, NP, DO, MD, ND, whatever's most appropriate. So we want to find people in our area. We want complementary specialties that align with our patient base. Not all patients are the same. Some people are going to want to go to the hospital and go to you, and some other patients are going to want to go to you and their, I don't know, local psychic. Like, I don't know. You just think about it. Like, I'm trying to give the broad range of types of patients who may walk through your door and what they prefer to get for their health and their holistic well-being. So you want to avoid contacts, however, that conflict with your ethics or your clinical philosophy. You can be very strong-willed and strong-minded in one direction. However, take yourself out of it and think about where can I benefit the patient here? Because you and your patient may not have the same views on certain things, but your job is to help them. And can you do that? And can you put your own agenda aside to do that? So that's kind of the place where I say, okay, can you do that or can you not do that with this patient? And if not, you need to refer out. So you want to focus on quality over quantity. Obviously, you're going to hear me say that all the time. But one meaningful connection is worth more than a ton of just weak contacts. Like, the amount of times that I walk into, like, for example, if I just get, I don't know, some appointment, like chiropractor adjustment, if I move to a new area or something, and I just tell them what I do, they're like, oh, I would use one of those in my clinic. It's like, well, I'm not actually trying to work for anybody. I train practitioners, I teach, I'm licensed, obviously, and do my own thing. But it's amazing how fast people want to network with me as an acupuncturist as well, simply by sharing what I do. And you could do that with anyone in the health field, or not even necessarily the health field. Is if someone wants to even run retreats, for example, you could add acupuncture to a retreat. So you name it, you could get creative. It's just focus on a meaningful connection. It may surprise you where you can actually find those. When you approach other practitioners, you just want to make sure that you introduce yourself professionally and can back what you talk about. You should be passionate about what you talk about. I'll never forget when I was in one of my first semesters in school, I had this one teacher who said, oh, yeah, guys, I know this is like boring stuff and we just have to do it. And guess what? I thought it was boring stuff and we just had to do it. And then I was a TA for that class way later in my career for a different teacher, and they were passionate about it. And I was like, wow, this stuff is really cool. Why was my class so bad? Oh, because I didn't show, my teacher didn't share their passion for it. They were sharing their own burnout. So we were all taking that on as students. So when you're sharing that about acupuncture, make sure you're putting a good light on what you do, because you're the one who's talking about acupuncture. You're the one who went to school for it. You're the one who is passionate about it, or your herbalism or whatever it is. So introduce yourself professionally. I like having business cards on hand when I can, or at least a digital business card. Make sure you include email or have a phone call or do an in-person visit with people. So if you see people in person, that's when I like throwing in those business cards, exchanging phone numbers, whatever. You want to offer your value first. Like, oh, what do you do? Oh, here's what I do. First, you want to share resources. You can share knowledge. You can do patient education tips, or, oh, you have a patient who's dealing with that. I actually had that in my clinic, and here's what I did. Maybe we could work together. Schedule information meetings or coffee chats to learn about other people's practices. If they have time, practitioners are busy people. So sometimes you have to put yourself out there a little bit and say, hey, my name is so-and-so. I'm in the area. I feel like we have similar patient bases. Do you have any interest in can I take you out for coffee or something? Because if you build relationships on curiosity, respect, and service, it's going to go a long way. Because again, it's not about you. It's about the patient. The patients pay your business. Okay. So how do you nurture those relationships? You want to follow up regularly. You want to send occasional emails, updates, or helpful articles or something. You can have a scheduled meetup. You can have a scheduled phone call. I've done most of these things, actually, depending on the situation. If it was at other acupuncturists, we would have like a regular meetup, talk about how the profession was changing, how we could support each other, who we could refer to for certain conditions, share educational materials together, versus Regular updates is other practitioners I would be working with outside of my own practice. So if I was working with like a chiropractor and an ND, kind of checking in on certain patients, hey, I got permission from the patient to discuss these things with you. They know they told me to discuss this with you. How's their progress on your end? Here's what I'm seeing. What are you seeing? I think here could be our approach. When you have that collaborative structure, it's really fun. It honestly makes practicing more fun. And I really don't mind having a quick phone call with other practitioners just to make sure the patient is doing well. So if you follow up regularly, that can really pay off. You can invite them to your events, workshops, or community talks. Just don't try to like sell them on stuff. That's not a good look. But if you're just running something, hey, I'd love for you to come by and maybe show them what value they'll get. Or maybe you can collaborate on an event together, a workshop, or just go teach people about how to take care of themselves. Recognize and refer patients back to them when appropriate. So like I said, if I want someone to have, say, an adjustment from like a chiropractor or a DO, then I'll have someone on hand to refer to, because that's not something I would do in acupuncture or herbalism. And as long as it's something I can't do with Twina. And we want to recognize and refer patients. Yeah. So when it's appropriate, obviously I said that. So networking, remember, it's a two-way street. It thrives on reciprocity and trust. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get the ball rolling. So why can't it be you? It takes little guts to do that, but it goes a long way. And like I said, it can breathe new life into your practice. It can be really fun when you feel like you're part of a team, even if you're a solo practitioner. Leveraging networking for patient growth. Shared events or workshops. Again, I said that, but they can increase your visibility and credibility. Who you network with is a reflection on you too, just like the people you hang out with. I think it's the 5 people you hang out with the most are like the people that kind of make up your character. So pay attention to that also with your practice. Who are the practitioners you talk to the most? The top 5 practitioners. You can co-author content or educational materials for cross-promotion. That's very good marketing skills, or share on each other's podcasts or channels. Encourage professional referrals through clear communication and processes. It's very straightforward. Don't discuss something unless you have written permission from a patient, obviously. And make sure everyone's informed at all times. Ethical networking is, in fact, going to expand your reach while maintaining your own practice's integrity. Whatever you do, just don't violate HIPAA through the process. Make sure you have good rapport and everyone is informed and you have permission to discuss a case with other practitioners. So when it comes to professional relationships, you want to approach your networking with clear purpose and integrity. Be excited about what you do, because if you're not excited about what you do, how could somebody else be excited about what you do? You can build trust through authenticity and professional energy. Be excited, present yourself in a professional manner. For example, if I were to say, oh, I'm an acupuncturist, I work sometimes, we get about a 20%, success rate. No, I, as a different practitioner, don't want to work with you. Versus, yeah, acupuncture is fantastic. I've seen a lot of patients for this condition. I've gotten people, to stop using a cane due to pain. I've helped, prevent people from getting joint replacement surgeries with this other practitioner that I work with in my network. So that was actually a true story, by the way. That was cool. Prevented some shoulder replacements. So relationships are ultimately going to grow naturally when they're nurtured. Just keep it consistent and respectful, and just don't step on each other's toes. It's not hard once the conversation starts. I think, honestly, the hardest part is getting other people to talk and getting yourself to break the ice. I think that's a common issue that a lot of practitioners run into, where it's weird to make new relationships, but it's always rewarding and it's fun. And honestly, you end up learning something. I even remember I was at a wedding recently, and I actually knew nobody at the wedding except for my close friend who was getting married from high school. And at the wedding, my friend and his wife sat me at a table with some of his other friends, so we got to know each other. And instead of me doing all the talking, I listened to the person to my right, who was a civil engineer. And I said, I don't know much about civil engineering. Can you teach me about that? And so he started to light up. He got really excited. Oh, well, yeah, sure. Civil engineering, here's what I do, here's what I'm really passionate about. And then he got really rolling on what he was into and then had a genuine interest. Oh, this guy, Matt, he seems like a pretty cool guy. So, Matt, like, what do you do? So then I had a hook, I had a doorway in to be like, oh, well, I'm an acupuncturist, so here's the things I do. And then the person to my left, she was a PA or a nurse practitioner. I forget which one. Anyway, she's like, did I hear you do acupuncture? Oh my God, that's so interesting. I'm like actually really interested in that. Can you tell me more about that? So then she was talking about how she was going to go do more school. I think it was to become a nurse practitioner, actually. Anyway, the point is, I didn't, I didn't even start the conversation. I just asked them about what they did. So I started that. Oh, hey, I'm Matt. Nice to meet you. So what is it that you do? Or what are you into? What are you passionate about? So if you get other people talking about themselves, they instantly have more interest in you. So it's very interesting because then that's a very good way to sift through who you want to work with. If they only talk about themselves the whole time, that's a red flag to me where, oh, that's not someone who would listen to me eventually and my insights versus if someone is talking to me about what they do and then, oh, so what is it that you do? Well, then they probably are going to value me and my opinion and my services in the future. So that's a very good tactic that you can utilize for yourself. Get them to talk first. Oh, hey, I'm Matt. Great to meet you. So what is it that you do here? And if it circles back to you and they listen to you, that's a very good indicator that you're going to know if this is someone that you would like to refer to in the future or work with. Because if it's not a two-way street, it's not going to be a good relationship. They might have the mindset, oh, what can you do for me rather than what can I do for you? It's collaborative. Remember, it's not about you, it's about the patients. If we can help the patients, that's what matters most. So networking is going to be an extension of your energy and your practice's energy. Genuine relationships are what are going to create the long-term benefits. So some of my closing thoughts here. Networking with other practitioners and doctors is not just about collecting contacts. It's about cultivating meaningful relationships that enhance your patient care. So that way you can create a referral network, you can create referral opportunities, and you can strengthen your community presence. And it is amazing how easy it is to get referrals when you have other practitioners who know what you do. To be honest, in the world of Chinese medicine, herbalism, acupuncture, even Chinese medicine bodywork like Tuina, a lot of people don't even know what you do. So if they simply know, then you have a contact. And it may surprise you actually who refers to you. So if you want to dive deeper, check out the TCM Teach on Patreon. That is where I am. That is how I get supported for doing all this stuff. So especially for you practitioners, check out the Practitioner Hub section. It is an extremely affordable membership that I did that on purpose. So that way you can have ready to use resources and downloads from me, yours truly, to get you going in all of the subjects that I've talked about so far. What are we, episode 37? So there's 37 different things already that you could go download right now. So in our next episode, we're going to talk about creating referral programs that actually work. So until then, thanks for tuning in to the TCM Teach podcast, and we will see you next time.